In this video, we're going to take a look at mastering our track. There's a couple of purposes for mastering, and the first is really just to increase the volume of your track. If you're happy with how your mix sounds, then all you're really trying to do is increase that volume without affecting how your mix is sounding. And you don't want to sort of make it too slushy by sort of limiting it too hard. And the other thing you can do is sort of slight tweaks to the EQ and getting a sort of more solid bass sound. So we're going to be doing a bit of both. And my mastering chain is pretty much always a utility to start with. And this gives you an option to control the gain going into the rest of your chain. And then I like to use, there's a compressor preset called Mix Gel. And this is just really good. It sort of gels together your track, but also brings up the volume of some of the lower parts and sort of evens out some of the higher parts, and it gives a nice effect. So when it's sort of your track drops down, the compressor sort of brings the volume up a bit, and then when it kicks back in, you can sort of hear it sort of dropping away, and it gives a sort of an effect of loudness effectively. So that's good to have on your chain. And then the next thing we'll be using is a multi-band compressor, and this can be useful for a couple of things. It can increase the volume of your track by compressing the bands individually, which in theory means you can compress more without affecting the dynamics as such in your track. So you'll still get some of the peaks off your or the transients off your sounds, but you can also compress the bottom end, which would normally put a single band compressor over the threshold without affecting some of the other bands. And generally speaking, a lot of that sort of transient information and the information that you want to keep intact is going to be in this middle band. So what I tend to do is compress the top and bottom a wee bit more than this middle band. So we'll play our track through, and I'll adjust some of the multi-band settings. And we'll play it at a part of the track where everything's in. We'll use a couple of different sections of the track, but this is the sort of main area I want to be concentrating on because it's got all the sounds in. So we'll solo our top end, and we'll start compressing it a bit. You can hear there that if I'm putting a lot of compression on that, the top end gets quite slushy, so you can just ease off. So you want to compress it a bit. And likewise with the bottom end. We want to move our threshold into the right position, so it's picking up that bass. And then we can start compressing our bass. And again, we don't want to do it too much, but we want to control it a bit. The effect of compressing the top end and bottom end means we're losing a bit of volume in both those areas, so we can adjust the volume back up to match on the output. And I'm actually going to just leave the middle band completely uncompressed. Again, this helps to keep intact some of that sort of transient stuff, and just means that your track doesn't get overly slushy. And then the last thing we're going to put on is our limiter. And again, this helps to just cut off any really, really quick transients that aren't audible, and helps to bring up the overall volume of the track without theoretically destroying any sort of sounds. If you limit it too much, it'll definitely make it slushy, and it's not great. But a bit of limiting can sound okay. So I'll grip my chain, and then we can A/B, see what it sounds like with the chain and without. So without the chain, and with the chain. So we can hear there that we're losing a bit of those hi-hats. So we can work on that. basically by just bringing up that band in the compressor. The other thing you can do with the multi-band compressor is you've got an amount volume, which is basically just your mix. So you can have a mix between your dry and your wet signal, and this can be really useful for just balancing out the effects of what you're doing. So we'll try a couple of different sections of the track just to make sure they're sounding okay as well. And that's sounding pretty good. The last thing I'm going to put on is just a final EQ in before the limiter, and we can just roll off the really low end stuff and just adjust any of the other sort of things we want. We want our EQ 8 on high quality, and we'll just take this right down to 30 Hertz and just ease off, and we'll bring our Q up just to make sure that it's rolling off quite sharply there, and I'll just add a tiny bit of top end. Well, there you go, that's our track finished. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, if you have any questions about any of the stuff in this video, give us a shout on the forums. Catch you next time.